Inescapably foreign. Welcome to Without Borders. I'm your host, Nolan Yuma. If this is your first time tuning into the show, know that this is the show for expats, nomads, immigrants, refugees, third culture kids, or anyone else that feels inescapably foreign. And remember, if you are an English language learner, you can access the transcript at withoutborders.fyi. I also provide a bunch of interesting articles and written stories there as well. Today, I'm here with Eva Briatkova. She is from Slovakia and has been living in Vancouver, Canada for the past 12 years. Her background is in nursing, but she's now currently working as a paramedic and a first aid instructor. We met in the experiential marketing world. We'll touch on that later. But Eva, how are you doing today?
Very well. Nice to see you.
It's good to see you too. We haven't seen each other. Well, we spoke a little bit yesterday, but we haven't seen each other in 6 years, or no, I think 8 years.
Yeah, that's correct.
Before that.
Yeah, it had been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So where are you right now?
I'm on Vancouver Island for a holiday for this winter season. Yeah, enjoying a quiet time from a hectic Vancouver. Yeah.
Okay, so why has your life been so hectic lately?
I think Vancouver's become hectic. When you get a little bit of snow, everything is hectic in Vancouver. So you have to disappear.
Yeah, maybe some listeners might be surprised by that because often when you go traveling and you mention that you're from Canada, people just picture snow right away, but that's not the case in Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
So what brought you to Canada originally?
My story is that I follow pretty much someone else's dream, to be honest to you. And now I live in my own dream. But yeah, I used to be in love with, that time, my ex-husband. He was from Czech Republic. And that was his dream. He used to do extreme sports. So it was always his dream to visit. And we visit first, and I love it. I just didn't know how the immigration process is going to take and how long that's going to take. But yeah, I kind of follow a person and his dream, and it becomes my life. So yeah, that's my story.
Okay, well, let's get into some of the details there. What was the immigration process like for you?
Canada wasn't the first country. So prior to Canada, I went to Czech Republic, Austria, and then Ireland. And so when I came to Canada, I didn't expect as much time to get through all the immigration's papers and the process. Actually, it was hard to apply to any type of working visa for me as a nurse, as our education doesn't transfer, so my credential didn't transfer that time. And you're losing time, right? Like, so the more you're waiting for your credentials, the skills and the knowledge has a certain time of limit that you can use it for, let's say, evaluation or challenge the exams. So unfortunately, that take a quite while, about 5 years. So you have a temporary visa, but you need to have a permanent resident, if I'm not mistaken, and then a citizen to be working as a nurse, or in any type of healthcare industry. So for me, the goal was getting back to my job as soon as possible to not lose my credentials, but it didn't work that way. So that's why we met in experiential marketing.
Yeah. So why didn't it work out that way? So you said you have 5 years to challenge the exams?
No, 5 years to get all my visa in a process. So it was a long time because they change quite the rules quite often, right? So 1 year you can apply for a type of visa that certain type of work is eligible, but for nurses I haven't had that luck. So again, simply put it, my credentials didn't transfer to here, right? So I would need to go back to school.
I hear that a lot in Canada's case, like doctors, nurses, even teachers. I know a teacher from England. She had a master's degree, 20 years of experience, came to British Columbia, and then they said, no, you can't teach in the public schools here. And then there's a shortage of teachers. It's just like, there's no logic to it whatsoever. It's ridiculous.
It's just like you have a shortage of nurses as well, right? Yeah. I'm not sure how with the teachers, but I would boldly say with nurses again, and then not even doctors, like you really have to practice your skill. Medicine is improving all the time, and you have very limited time to just be, on the track. So
That's true.
yeah,
That's a
I
good
was in
point.
ICU, so that's a very specific field to have your diploma in, and it's not really easy to just keep up with everything when you're not practicing.
Okay. Now, what if we're comparing quality of life? Because I have to look at the numbers, but it was 20 something thousand a year that you can get paid as a paramedic and as a nurse in Slovakia. But of course, the living expenses are way lower
Yeah.
than in Vancouver, Canada, and in Canada in general. And just looking at that wage for relating it to in Spain, which I think is probably a little bit more expensive than Slovakia, but you could get by. Like you would have a decent life with that wage.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at the wages in Canada, and they're kind of all over the place with paramedics. And I know you're part of a union, so we can't get into the specifics there. But I read that starting out, you can end up getting paid less than minimum wage, $2 an hour, which sounds horrific to me because I think paramedics should be celebrated in our society. It's one of the most important jobs. And then, but it does look like it goes up quite a bit, right? It looks like you can end up making a good wage with seniority. But what would you say, because I know you can't get into specifics about the numbers, but just when we're talking about quality of life, do you feel like you can have a much higher quality of life in Vancouver, Canada as a paramedic, or would you have a higher quality of life in Slovakia?
That's a very good question. And we can take it from many perspectives. So I believe first of all, I believe in terms of the money, like once you enter healthcare industry, you doing that from your heart, from the help to others, right? It's not always about like you want to become a rich person for sure. And I think that's speaking for most of people. But yeah, quality of life in terms of what can I afford and how much I can travel, what kind of experience in one day, for example, or then I would say in here for sure. In terms of education and a free education and a good healthcare, getting in surgery the same day, you seeing your GP, having insurance, that would be Slovakia. Like we still have that standard of kind of a social system that builds so it take care for people in a really different way than in Vancouver, like if you have lots of
Okay,
benefits.
so you find that there's a stronger social safety net.
Yes, that's true. 100%.
In the health sector.
Yeah. Oh, in the health sector, and if you need benefits for any kinds, or if you're elderly, or if you're handicapped, or anything that you need, or if you're a good student but you don't have money to study, that's definitely you can achieve much more back home. Yeah. And the healthcare is unbelievably uncomparable. It's just we do have preventable measures, so you have to have your GP. There is no way that you cannot just have GP at home. You have to show up to annual screening, and you pretty much have, we call it anamnesis. So basically, the doctor would know when they see you in the ER that you are Nolan, you were born in this and this time, and previous surgeries, and everything is documented. So it's easy for access if you're in, for example, if you're in an emergency. So it's very different.
Yeah, because in Canada, some things are documented, but then some things aren't when it comes to vaccinations. Like I think I actually did lose my travel vaccination booklet, and that kind of screws me over in Canada because it's not in the system.
Yeah, it's a different, one of my colleagues called it antique, and I think that's a good word for it. It's like it's something older. Even if the country is very new, everything is a little bit slower that way. Like, yeah.
So you feel in Canada it's slower?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting because, well, I'm in Spain right now, right? And I've lived in Belgium. Lived in Vietnam and Chile as well. But actually long-term, mostly just Belgium, Spain, and Canada. And out of those three countries, Belgium's healthcare system is the best. It is one of the best healthcare systems in the world.
Yes.
I just found of course, talking partially about personal experience and partially from statistics as well, but the quality of doctors I found better there. For instance, once in Canada, I had a mole in my tear duct, and of course that could have been melanoma. And I went to one doctor in Canada, and he said, yeah, that could be melanoma. I said, oh, okay. So what do I do now? And he said, well, I'm actually retiring soon, so I'm going to send you to another doctor. It's like, nice. Okay, yeah. I guess you're not that passionate about your work anymore. Sends me to another doctor. Then the other doctor looks at my eye, says, yeah, could be melanoma. I was like, okay, what are you going to do? So I got to take a picture and send it to another doctor. Takes a picture with his iPhone, sends it to another doctor. Then I go to that other doctor, and then they say, yeah, it could be melanoma, could be skin cancer. But we could take a biopsy, but if the biopsy doesn't go correctly, then the cancer can spread. So I don't really know. And then at that point, my mom got into it and she was like, okay, fuck this. We're talking to a doctor in Belgium. Luckily, we were going to Belgium anyways. Ended up getting into a hospital right away. They said, if you do the biopsy correctly, there's no chance of it spreading. And he said, I'm a professional. I'll do it correctly. So took the biopsy, ended up not being skin cancer, and everything was fine. But it was just like the whole process was faster. The quality was much higher.
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah.
That's quite terrifying. Well, funny, but not if you when you're the patient, right? Yeah. Unbelievable.
But then here in Spain, I definitely miss the healthcare system in Canada. Like here, it's so many of the doctor offices close because you have, even in the healthcare system, you have the siesta culture and the culture of just taking paro and paro is taking EI and not paro, sorry, puente, which is when you have a holiday and then you take another holiday between the two holiday days. So there are times where it's really difficult to get into a doctor's office. So usually if something is wrong with me, I go to the emergency, which is something I don't want to do morally because I feel like emergencies should only be for emergencies. But it's just the only way I can get to see a doctor right away. What do you think about that? Am I being morally wrong there?
No. My sister used to live in Spain, and she would say the same in terms of a post office as well. Like she have to time which day and which particular hour if she want to send something somewhere. I think they quite know. I don't know how much is in Italy is the same, but yeah, I heard that Spain is definitely. In Slovakia, we have no siesta. People actually are well known by working like out around the clock. They're really hard workers, I would say. So, and it's really nice to see, that when I travel and I emigrated, wherever you call it, in different countries, the Slovaks usually have a pretty good reputation in terms of how they work. So, I think the laziness is not building in us for sure. But maybe we can start with siesta. I would love to actually. That's a good idea to start with siesta. With the ambulance, I would love to do siesta on ambulance. That's for sure. I think I will bring it up. Yeah, that will be fun.
Nice. So Slovakia, I read about that too, that Slovakians are hard workers, and it's definitely part of the culture. Actually, when I was reading about I was looking up Slovak personality traits that popped up, and for some reason, whenever you look up something about Slovak, it always pops up related to women. And it's like, I guess Slovak women have a reputation to be very beautiful, and then half of it is like the type of personality you need to be able to have a Slovak woman. And one of it was like work really hard, be a hard worker.
Oh, that's, that's probably true. That's probably true. Yeah, I would say.
Now, what do you feel about in Canada? Do you feel, or okay, let's talk about the West Coast in
Yeah.
Vancouver first, though. Do you feel like the work culture there is fast compared to Slovakia, or is it slower? Is it more laid back?
Definitely laid back more, I would say. And this is coming, depends if you go to experiential marketing or healthcare, because I can see the nurses and paramedic working really hard in here as well as anywhere else. With experiential
Right.
marketing, I remember a couple of times when we show up and team of 20, two of them show up. So I don't know if that's just a young generation, but yeah, I think I have like mixed experience, depends which field, but I think people are just people. So if you do have a quiet standard and morals, and you grow up in family who show you that, then you're probably a hard worker. But yeah, it's definitely there is no. This is the first time that I heard that if you really feel, for example, unwell, you really have to explain at home what's going on, and sometimes you have to see the proof. So you have to go to the doctor and you send it to your chief, and you show that you broke finger or you have a flu. In here, people would just tell you to stay home and get better, and please take as much long time as you need. So that's definitely different than I remember back from Europe. Um,
But that depends on the job because okay,
yeah,
first let's quickly explain what experiential marketing is because some listeners might not know. So we met doing experiential marketing.
yeah.
You could also call us brand ambassadors and in some cases promo models, or promotional models, right? And what we would do is set up different campaigns, and it would always be an in-person live experience. And it could be something at a big event where we would have a booth set up at, let's say, a concert, or it could be something more experimental where we're really just walking around with a bag of goodies and getting people to sign up, getting people to have a good experience with a product. But that's kind of what we did. And that could switch from week to week because we were contract workers. For instance, one week I might be promoting organic granola bars, and the next week I might be promoting cigarettes. Right? So yeah, you think that in the work culture, it was a little bit different with experiential marketing. But I remember when we worked with people from out east in Canada, they said how much slower and lazier we were in the west of
True,
Canada.
true. Yeah. It is also
Yeah.
it's such a wonderful experience when you're doing experiential marketing, don't you think? Like you meet so many people from different countries, and most of them, I believe, they want to be in actors or musicians, right? So quite
Yeah.
talented bunch of people, and yeah, I believe was always kind of a sidekick for most of them. So I never really take that as a reflection of how they would normally work and what's their work ethic, because I always thought like that's just a gig for them, right? So I believe like I saw most
True.
of the experiential marketing people when they're trying to do audition, and they work over the clock overnight, try to memorize stuff, and then just giving a chocolate or working on a car model, they will just be a little bit more lazy, I would say, right? So it's just kind of a hard to um, judge like how lazy or not lazy people are in that particular field, because it was more like fun for all of us, I believe, than actually a job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And now that I'm not in the industry anymore and you're not either, I think we can be honest about some of the things that happened.
Yeah. Ooh.
But there were campaigns where I worked my ass off because, as you said, you're with a good group of people, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're really fun. Sometimes you have a good management team, and you just want to get the product out there because you think it's a cool product. You're in a good environment. But there were other times because, as you said, it was a side gig. It was just for money, and you actually want to
Yeah.
focus on something else. We would cheat the system big time. I remember this was during, I'm not going to say which campaign,
Obviously, yeah.
but it was during the hurricane in the Philippines. and we were getting paid 9 hours a day or something like that. And we had to hand out so much of this product. And of course you have to get the pictures as proof, right? Because you also need to have the pictures for the marketing purposes afterwards on social media or just for internal marketing purposes. And we would get all the pictures done within an hour, even though we're getting paid for 8 or 9. And then we took all the granola, granola bars. I'm not going to say the name. It was granola bars. I'm not going to say the name of the company. Then we brought them to, I forget which charity it was, but they shipped all the granola bars to the Philippines to help out there.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, we did a good thing, but really, like, it was not what the company would have wanted. Of course, we would have gotten fired if they found out.
Yeah, the granola bars was funny ones. Any chocolate and granola bars, I feel like you remember that people know you by the face. Depends what, like, did you work as a mascot ever?
No, I didn't do any of the mascot ones.
I did so many different plays as a mascot, and I never knew what to do. I remember I was on a peony as a bear getting a chocolate. I have no idea where the children's are because I couldn't see in front of me. I just randomly move, and I was thinking that's very unsafe. But I always love when people remember you with a chocolate when the I would say the promotion begin, and then during the summer, when they see you with a chocolate to offer you a chocolate, they just run away from you. Like, it was so much certain products, so much chocolate, so much granola bars. We went to shelters, we went to schools, we went to everywhere. And sometimes they just said no anymore. Like, it's just, I remember, so it was a load and load of trucks for chocolates for sure. And in the beginning, everyone wants it. So people ask if they can have more. And a month or two, it was just kind of like you were the person who have to beg them to get the chocolate.
But just to bring this into the cultural aspect, because of course this show is all about culture, experiential marketing doesn't really exist outside of Canada and the United States. Why do you think that is?
No idea. I haven't studied marketing, so that's a good question. But we don't. I never remember that in Europe. There are certain commercials. I don't know how much they have for budget. No idea. Really, no idea.
So I asked someone about it, and they said it's because North Americans are more likely to show customer loyalty to a specific brand. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that's true, because I meet so many people here that, once they're Apple users, they're Apple users. Mm-hmm. Or when it comes to cars, it's on another level here, mm-hmm. right? Like the rivalry between BMW, Audi, and Mercedes in Europe is just huge. Yeah. So that answer didn't make sense to me. So what do you think? Because that's what I read. That's talking to marketing specialists. But just from your own opinion, what else do you think it could be?
I would say this is definitely a part of his finances and budget for sure. I can see that the culture back home, and I've really this is just what I think is that maybe if you give too many products for free, it will be a really fast gone. Remember the chocolate kind of example that I said? And it might be just going back to the communist time that people didn't have as much. So I'm not sure how it will go if you have lots of people just offering a free products everywhere. Maybe slowly you can expose and they get used to it. But I don't think we knew that. So I think there will be maybe a line of people who will stay for chocolates, just like back in the 80s. I'm not sure. But also I think that no one's going to sit in a car and do a test drive and sit with some stranger next to them and drive them around the cities in a stick. You know what I mean? Like, that's when I think about back in the time when we used to do a test drive. I think that was the definitely freakiest time, when you sit next to a stranger and you have to just believe that it's not a psychopath who's going to just run through the wall. Like, can you imagine? Like, we were in our 20s, so everything was fun. But now when I thought about it, like, I sit to so many people through so many cities, and they were like, "Oh, how fast he's gonna go!" I'm like, "Ooh, is this really what I'm doing for a living?" Like... It's like,
Right, like remember when we were in Whistler and we had the new
Yeah.
Jeeps and we just took people on an obstacle
Yeah,
course?
yeah.
Like they could have
Oh
killed us.
yeah.
Well, a few people almost
Oh
did
yeah.
kill me.
Oh yeah.
Like on that
Oh
obstacle
yeah.
course, you're like, okay, you can't go over
Yeah.
60, and then they would just gun
Yeah,
it.
and then you have like we were through the groundwork, so everywhere were like a free booze, and there is no way to test an alcohol. For me, that's a huge component, right? It was like, oh, you have a signed this waiver, you didn't consume any alcohol. It's like, who are you gonna believe? They're like, 21, they have fun on groundwork, so of course they have a couple beers.
And Crankworks, everyone's partying.
So it was definitely something I would never do again.
But that's the strange thing about it too, because usually in Canada, I find that there are more rules than in Europe.
Yeah.
Right? You go to a ski resort in Canada and you just see how safe everything is set up,
Yeah.
right? The chair lifts, you're boxed in. And then you go to a European ski resort and like they're fine, but it's
Free bird.
they don't have
Yeah.
the same safety standards, or they're just not as obsessed
Yeah.
with little rules and stuff. But then all of a sudden with the marketing world, it's completely different. It's strange.
Yeah.
Or like another thing I thought about, maybe it's because there are more rules that they have the experiential marketing, because experiential marketing, we were always in a gray zone with legality, right? And for instance, like advertising cigarettes is illegal in Canada, not in Germany, right? There you can still find advertisements. But then in Canada, there's just always loopholes. Like I remember when we were marketing, well, not you, I don't think you were in this one, but when I was marketing e-cigarettes, there were little loopholes. Like we weren't allowed to say that e-cigarettes were healthier than normal cigarettes. That would be illegal.
Yeah.
But we were allowed to go up to people and say, oh, we have a tobacco product that is less harmful than cigarettes, because less harmful could imply that you're talking about combustion, because you're not lighting anything on fire with the
Not exactly
e-cigarette.
your health.
But of course, in a customer's mind, they're not going to make that association. It's just so there's a legal loophole there.
Yeah.
Or we would set up big events, and then at the end, everyone would get a goodie bag with cigarettes inside, but it was a white goodie bag, so you couldn't see it. Right. So in the end, saying like, oh, it's not allowed, you're not allowed to advertise tobacco in Canada, it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just,
See, the drinking alcohol was quite fun when I came to Canada. People cannot drink publicly, and also there is just a limitation where you can get the alcohol, like liquor stores and stuff. That's also not known in Europe, right? Like you can buy it anywhere you want, in any hour you want, and the bars doesn't have any closing times. Most of the time they're running till the morning, and you don't have to hide your alcohol when you're sitting in the park, or you're going to a beach, or you're going somewhere on the party. You don't have to have it in a plastic bag. So it is quite rules and not rules. So it depends how you take it, for sure.
Now, in my opinion, that's always kind of influenced the drinking culture as well, because I find in many European countries, what's the quote that my dad would say in Belgium? In Belgium, people get drunk because they like to drink. In Canada, people drink because they like to get drunk. And then just relating that to the rules is like, if you have, because prohibition actually wasn't that long ago, right? And then you still have all these other rules. It still has this feeling of something wrong, right? So you got to drink it quickly. You got to do it hiddenly. But that's not, you shouldn't drink like that. Drinking should be something that you do slowly, right?
Enjoy.
Enjoy it. So do you think there is a big difference in drinking culture between Slovakia and Canada?
Not that I see that much. I think people are drinking everywhere, and it's hard when you are a nurse or the paramedic to trying to see the differences. Maybe if I I think people are drinking everywhere. It's just the way how they have a fun, for sure, and the hidden aspect, as you said, hiding aspect, for sure. I think the more drinking at home is with schnapps, like the hard liquor, than a classical beer. Maybe Czech and Germany has more of the beer, but we always have a schnapps. My dad makes schnapps since I was a child, and we also get exposure when we were children. So I remember like sipping small schnapps like very early age. And I guess you get in the point that they expose you to alcohol so you're not crazy when you come in your 20s, right? So you don't get in a bar and you don't drink to yourself to death. So I think that's a huge difference because it's really hidden in here in front of the children. And I think it's good to know that if you come to puberty, that you already know how to behave and how alcohol actually works, and what can be the consequences if you abuse it. And I think that's a little bit different in Europe for sure. And I'm a product of that, so I don't drink excessively because maybe that's exposure was always there since I was small, and you see everyone drinking everywhere.
Now just talk about the nurses. Uh, most nurses I know party pretty hard, and I would even argue harder than the average person. Uh, is that a Canadian? Because most nurses I know are from BC, and so maybe it's a BC thing. Or do you think that's kind of like a culture of nurses? Do nurses on average just
You have to reset, right? You have
party?
to reset. I believe that it's a part of that the just letting go, and maybe also we party together, so we know ourselves at work, and so it's easy to get the good conversation and dance when you're a nurse and go to the party together. I experienced that in Ireland as well when I was working, and most of the fun I have was probably there. The most of my partying was in Ireland, and yeah, that was definitely see the whole department get to a bar and dance and laugh and share stories and drinks together. So you can call it party hard, but we always I think it's kind of a reset button for most of us for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. I like that. I like when a healthcare professional says that partying is a reset button.
at least for me. I mean, like
Perfect.
it's not anymore. It's just once you get older, I think it's really hard to get those morning, you know. But I'm glad I have that experience. It's not something you should be ashamed. It's hard if you continue. That I would say it's probably not well recommended
Yeah,
in
of
your
course.
40s and
I think
50s.
if we
Yeah,
start talking about addictive
yeah, yeah.
personalities, and of course that goes down a different
But it's
rabbit
part of your
hole.
youth too, right? Like it's part of, yeah.
Yeah. How old are you now?
I will be 40 in April.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's going to be a
Okay.
20 years
Nice.
that I left Slovakia pretty much. After the nursing school, I
Yeah.
went to travel to different countries and work abroad and away. Yeah.
So you've spent your 30s in Canada then.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And when is the last time you went back home?
I visit usually every summer. It used to be a winters, but then I realized they're short days and everyone is just at home, cozy. So now I go pretty much every year, and I go for quite extended holiday. I usually go for like a 2 months because my parents got a big garden, and they're wonderful parents, and I have lots of friends at home. I'm very lucky. The same in Czech Republic. So I usually enjoy really the summers in Europe. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And now when you go back, right? Because I know it's not not the best thing to ask about age sometimes. I
I
don't know
don't care.
why.
Yeah.
But the reason I ask is because it has a big influence on how much traveling affects your
Oh,
personality,
yeah.
right? Like if you spent your youth in Canada, that makes a big difference in spending your 30s in
100%.
Canada, right? But now, do you feel like more Canadian in some ways, or
100%. 100%. I think
so how? In what ways are you Canadian now?
it shaped my perspective for so in so many ways how I see the world. Very open-minded. Um, not
Do you feel on average that Canadians are more
yeah,
open-minded?
for sure. And just without as much judgment, you know. I always used to think that what I grew up in, what I see, what I learn, that must be applicable for everyone. Like everyone has the same type of life, and in Canada, I learned that you can have, that especially with so many immigrants and different way of living, that everyone has different sense of family, um, work, life in general. If they do sports or if they just travel or if they take care of their gardens, it's just I don't even know how to frame that, but I feel like I do live in the potential that I always see in myself here. And any type of topic, any type of communication I want to open up with any of my Canadian friends, I have no fear to open up any hard conversation. Politics,
Yeah.
race, economics, anything that comes to even like in your yeah,
Mental
oh
health,
yeah,
I
oh
think, is
mental
a
health
big
is
one
big
too,
for
right?
sure. That's a huge difference
Yeah.
between the Europe that I know. I'm not talking about the Europe as the whole continent, obviously, but the Slovakian part of where we are just getting slowly there is a huge
Hmm.
gap, and is a that's definitely Canada is so much forward. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
and I feel like it's nicely intertwined because I have good sense of community, so I feel like my purpose is to connect people, and I love connecting people, and I love listening and asking stories. I'm very curious, in just like that's my nature. So I love really just getting people together in a conversation that you might find uncomfortable, but when you just give them time and you don't have the prejudgment, you will see a different perspective from person from India, person from America, person from China in the same environment. And healthcare, the health industry is quite interesting because you always work with people with so many different countries, and the topics are always there, right? You might come to a patient that has challenging backgrounds, and now you ask your coworkers or your friends about their opinion, and you see a different backgrounds coming with different opinions, but it's not the point to agree, but just bringing different points to the conversation and different look, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And from my experience, I agree, especially when it comes to mental health. Now that I'm back here in Europe, I notice how it's
Mm.
still taboo to talk about depression in ways. Like you still might have that attitude towards a man being like,
Yeah.
suck it up.
Oh yeah.
Or, oh, that girl's just being
Oh yeah.
whiny, right? Like you still have that here, which is
Yeah.
horrible in my opinion. Or then just like it's less politically correct. You still hear people call people who are moody
Yeah.
bipolar, right?
Yeah.
In North America, that would not fly anymore. Um, but when it comes, and then open-mindedness towards recreational
Oh yeah.
drugs, I think that might be a West Coast thing. Like we love recreational drugs on
Yeah.
the West Coast,
Slovakia is very
but also
taboo in
just in
that.
an
Yeah.
intelligent way, right? Like here, people like them too, but they just associate it with
Yeah.
partying. Whereas in the West Coast, like microdosing with magic
Yeah.
mushrooms, LSD, like you can have a conversation about
Yeah.
that. Here, the second you want to have a conversation about that, unless that person has traveled to North
Yeah.
America pretty much, it's just like, oh my God, no, you're a drug addict.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm just talking about microdosing with magic
And you
mushrooms,
haven't been in
right?
Slovakia with this, so don't even try, please. It's very hard. I would say you will have a
Don't bring
really
it up.
interesting conversation in Czech Republic and different places, but yeah, we're not there yet at all. Like it's hard. It's a hard opening
Yeah.
conversation. How beneficial those things can be for us, and I would say from mental health when I was nurse, I was in ICU in hemato-oncology, like people who are die from blood cancer, right? And I give you example that we went through lots of horrifying days where you bring the stories at home, right? You suffer, you feel the pain. There were no any mental health support. We do have counselors here, like the ambulance is amazing to take care of your mental health for sure. Like I never been that spoiled. Like every time you want it, you just have your counselor and you go through this and they automatically actually contact you after each call. So it's very, very different than what I remember from back home in terms of mental health and how
Hmm.
they take care of the
Hmm.
healthcare workers, particularly, So that's a huge difference for
Yeah.
sure.
Now, but so healthcare, yeah, you're right. But then I'm just thinking about open-mindedness when it comes to people from different cultures and everything. Because in Vancouver, for sure. I had the same experience as you, right? You can find people from all over. People are willing to discuss different viewpoints. But nowadays, when I go back to Canada, I find that people are quite polarized. And sometimes when you bring up a different opinion, and I brought this up on another episode as well, and it seems that people's identities are attached to their opinions, right? So when you don't agree with someone's opinion, it's like a personal affront on their identity. So then you can't actually have a conversation and you can't open your mind or grow. And then here, maybe it's just Spain. I've noticed it's so easy to have a conversation with someone who might have a different opinion when it comes to like political type things or socio-political type things. So there, I don't know, maybe people are open-minded here, but maybe I'm more talking about Spain. And the difference might be in Canada, I also lived in a small town. And I think that might make a difference. So in Slovakia, did you live in a small town or did you live in the city?
So grew up or have been born in a small town and live in a city that is about 60,000 people, but very close to the village where my grandpa and grandma actually live. Yeah, very big family. My grandpa got 12 siblings, so quite a big family. They have animals and gardens, so yeah, very community. It's in to put it this way, for a foreigner, like in Slovakia, I feel like most of the time when you live there, people know people everywhere you go. Like, you know, your local postman, you know, your butcher, you know, your doctor, you know, your lawyer, you know, neighbors in the whole corridor. Is that you pretty much know people. It's very huge. The community sense is way different than having in Canada. But yeah, I grew up in a city, like a small city.
A small city, but maybe that's also why, right? Because when you're comparing Vancouver to a small city in BC, you might also say, wow, the people in the small town are not as open-minded to different cultures or not as open-minded to certain
I have
things.
experience. So for almost 3 years, I believe 2.5 years, I work as a paramedic on a small place called Sayward on northern part of Vancouver Island with 800 people.
Yeah.
Amazing experience. I would never have this experience ever if I never worked with the BC ambulance. It was really, really interesting. And you see people with different opinions, but I wouldn't say close-minded at all. And it's just, it was a very small town, and a different culture, and but not neither even close to close-minded. Very open-minded, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. But that's also the West Coast, right? I think when you go into the interior small town, it could be a little bit different. But you're right. You're right. I think the more I reflect on it, the more I realize how open-minded people are in British Columbia.
You know how I do that? Yeah, sorry.
But what would it be like in the capital of Slovakia? What would the capital?
Bratislava, just like any big capital. But can I just get back to, so you know how I know if it's open-minded or closed-minded, that I brought certain foreigners at home and I see how my parents are curious and always just, you know, I'm a product of my parents, so I've always been curious, and I ask people if they have a different background, where are you from, what's the culture like, what do you eat, what is your Christmas look like? But not everyone is the same at home. Like, we do have some people are really not interesting as much of a different culture, and their way to see the world is the Slovakian way to see the world. But when I was, for example, in Sayward or Kamloops or small places, that I have the same experience. People who never travel or leave that small town, Canadian people, will ask me the same question. So how your parents look like? And what is a summer in Slovakia look like? They were interested, like honestly interested in my life and knowing me and bringing me food and thanks me for the job and just invite me for their private, like, family parties and celebration and gathering. So I went to really different places thanks to my work. I was really mesmerized by how people are welcoming and actually interesting in you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're an ambassador for
yeah,
BC.
Maybe. Yeah, I can sell the BC. I have been told this from many people that they said, "Oh, you sold me BC." Every time I get you look, I will show you the best on Vancouver and what can offer you for sure. So hopefully, yeah, why not? You choose to be living here, so you want to see the best, and you want to know the hidden treasures too. Yeah, so that's a good way.
So now that we're talking about personality, one thing I also want to ask, because, well, probably not most of the listeners on this show, because I think most people here are quite interested in culture, but one problem I find, especially in Hollywood movies, and obviously that gets perpetuated into the culture as well, is that Eastern Europeans get lumped together sometimes as one culture, right? Which is completely wrong. Right, there's so many different languages, different foods, even though there are relations, of course. But what do you find? How do you identify as a Slovak, someone from Slovakia?
Ooh,
Like what?
you challenge me, Nolan. You really do. Because I always, I hate the word hate, but I hate patriotism. I feel like the world shape you, and the more you travel, you know yourself. The more you emigrate and live somewhere for a substantial amount of time, it changes you. And then sometimes you kind of lost the ground, like in a good way, not in a bad way, not in a sentimental or because I feel the nostalgia can be something that can be good, but also can be quite bad if you use it in the wrong way. I think I still have the sense for culture, the folk. I love our folk music and the architectures. Every time I go home, I appreciate way more the history and everything that is still there than any of my friends, I would say. Like I get mesmerized by things that if you live there, you just get used to it. And I stop and I touch and I smell and I love those little things and it again brings the nostalgia from my childhood. I love talk to elderly, always did, because I think they still have the skills that we're forgetting. Slovakia used to be a lot of like handcrafted stuff, working with woods, working with sheep and wool, and I think we look.
Yeah, it has the highest number or highest concentration of wooden
that's
churches.
Right. We have the tallest one actually, the tallest in the Europe, and the oldest.
The tallest one.
There's the number of castles per capita. I think is the highest. The churches like. The history is really picturesque, and for that small town, people used to just travel and see all the castles and having a stamp card, so you can see them all in like a 3-day trip. What is funny that when you mostly go to castles in, for example, like Ireland or Scotland, you will see the structure, but very rarely you will see the full furnished castle. In Slovakia, you still have the rooms with the tables and the silverware and where they sleep. So it's really interesting history, and it feels like nothing's moves because you feel like the king is just somewhere behind the door because it looks like someone lives there. I believe the part of Slovakian that I still even have with me is the sense of community for sure. And I love as a woman, I love cooking. I love doing small, like little tiny projects. I love knitting and all these like funny things. Carving wood, and just stuff that brings me pleasure. Just what I saw in my parents and my grandparents. And that time when I was young, I was like, "Oh, that's so lame. I would never do that. I will go to America, and I will never do anything like this." And you reach your 30s, and you kind of almost crave for those things, and then it reminds you kind of who you are in that sense and brings you pleasure.
So do you find, it sounds like you're saying that in Slovakia it's a little bit more collectivistic, like a little bit more community oriented.
You are the teacher. You know, English is my third language. That's why I have it a little broken. So my second is German. So that's why I never went to school for English. So if you ever wonder, like, how she can teach, actually, like, her English is quite broken. That's how. I learned by listening to Irish people. That's quite fun.
Oh, okay. Well, your English is really good, but I remember 7 years ago, we had a conversation about that once. We were talking about speaking different languages, and you mentioned that you miss not being able to speak your mother tongue because you feel like you're funnier and more intelligent in your mother tongue.
That.
I think you're intelligent in English. Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
think that.
I forget which convention we were in, but it was for some convention, and we went around.
I still
Yeah.
think that. I still do think that because there is certain impression in Slovakian language that you cannot translate directly. And it's actually weird if you translate. I tried, but it's really weird.
Okay, tell me
So
some, because
many.
I love idioms and I love getting into
So
discussions
many.
about them. So what are some of the
I try. I
expressions?
don't know if that's an idiom, but there's certain type of sayings that we have. My sister lives in Scotland, and we try to translate that to her Scottish boyfriend. He enormously laughs. It's like the laugh on his family. It's like, Veronica, say some saying in Slovakia. Like it wouldn't make sense to you. It's just, it's really traditions from back home that, yeah, it's those are just sayings like. I try to apply that sometimes at work, and people, I can see the look on people where they're like, I don't know what she just said and why.
Can you say one of them? But in your language?
Um, I have to just, oh yeah,
Don't worry.
you toss
Yeah.
a piece on a wall. Why would you like a frozen piece or piece on the wall? It makes like it doesn't make sense to do the same job over and over. So
Okay, well, what does it sound like? Can you say it in your language? Because I want to just hear what it's. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
throwing
yeah,
peas
yeah,
against
yeah.
the wall?
Or we,
And what does that
it's like
mean?
you trying to do the same job, um,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make sense anymore to do that because it doesn't give you any not rewards, but you wouldn't see any outcome. Like it's like useless jobs doing over and over, like something like it doesn't make sense, but you just keep doing that for yeah. Or you going for a
Yeah,
walk
yeah. Oh,
and
okay.
we said there is no like it was so empty, there was no food in there. And my Toronto friend Caitlin, she always laughs. She's like, say something in Slovakian saying. I was like, how about we go for a hike and there's no food? I'm like, yeah, you remember that one, right? And it's just like, again, in Slovakia, it sounds that ani noha, nie je tam ani noha. But it doesn't make sense if you translate that. It's just something we'll keep saying and it's just going and makes sense in that language. But also we do have a specific
Yeah.
language. Remember as you asked me for my last name, the OVA, we have certain types of things that maybe a teacher, maybe a Slovakian teacher will be able to answer those questions too. But that will be, or we have all the fingers are the same. If you go to a doctor and you broke a finger or toe, you just tell them fingers because we don't have fingers and toes.
It's
Oh,
the same in Spanish,
nice.
just
Yeah.
dedos.
So you know those things.
Yeah.
And the OVA is quite specific. So you will always know you speak to a female if the last name ends with OVA.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that earlier, and I think that's interesting as well because it's helpful, right? Like as you
Yeah.
mentioned with doctors, right? Because there are situations where, especially a woman might want a
Yeah.
female
Yeah.
doctor.
Or what to expect. Yeah, it's just yeah,
Interesting.
those are definitely a different languages for sure. How easy was for you to learn Spanish?
It's all right. Like I'm still struggling. Like I mean, I can speak about anything with everyone. But yeah, I definitely feel dumb sometimes, right? Because you're just constantly looking for words. You're constantly looking for ways to express yourself in the best way. But there are situations now where I'd rather speak in Spanish than in English, right? There are just some expressions that work better in Spanish, and also some things that are just funny in Spanish because it has cultural context to it, and it's just not funny in English because it just doesn't have that same cultural context. But I wouldn't say it's easy. It wasn't easy for me. It's definitely a struggle, and I definitely still get frustrated. I throw childish tantrums sometimes when it doesn't go my way. But
That's awesome.
I enjoy it.
But that's important. That's very important. Do you use your hands a lot? Because I used to use hands all the time.
But I didn't even notice this. But my friend said it the other day. He came last month to visit, and he said, I don't speak any Spanish, Nolan, but I always know when you're talking about the past and using the past tense because you always go like this. Because sometimes I'm worried, like, oh no, did I use the correct past tense? So just to make sure that they understand, I do the hand gesture
Nice.
pointing
Oh, nice.
backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a question I ask most multilingual people on the show. Do you feel like when you were learning English or when you were learning German that you found a new part of your identity as you learned that language? Because I always say this on the show, but polyglots mention that if you want to learn many languages, it's a good idea to find a different identity with
Interesting.
that language.
I'm just wondering, like, in what sense? You know what I'm asking?
Okay, like, so for instance, well, Flemish for me, I learned it when I was a child, right? So for me, that part of my identity, when I speak Flemish,
Okay.
I feel very clean in a way, because I associate it with family. I don't swear very often. English, I mean, I grew up with it. I had my early 20s with English, so I swear a little bit more. I'm comfortable talking about taboo subjects. Now, in Spanish, I want to be a refranero, which means someone that knows a lot of references and like uses a lot of idioms and stuff. And I'm trying to develop that part of myself, but it's difficult. And then more just naturally, I find in Spanish, well, as I said, dumber, but that's obviously not a personality thing. That's just a lack of words. But I do feel like people complain here more, I find, than in
Yeah.
English. It's more common to complain, and I find that I start to complain a bit more
We
in
have that in
Spanish.
Slovakia quite a lot. Okay, so I think I know what you're asking me now. I think I struggle with mixing couple languages together. I honestly don't think that I'm fluent the way I used to be in Slovakian, because it kind of intertwined with the Czech. My ex-husband was Czech, and my current boyfriend is Czech. So I think, and lots of Czech people. So those languages are very similar. And if I speak too fast, I use some words that are just comfortable, or I get used to them. So I've been quite criticized when I get back in Slovakia that I don't speak as, I make lots of grammar mistakes and stuff like that. So sometimes I feel not as secure when I speak Slovakian, not as articulate. In English, I still have stutter if I speak to people who give me impression that they don't understand me, and that sometimes happen. But I really enjoy that language. I really enjoy speaking English. I feel like I speak out of my heart, and it is who I am right now. So I feel like it gives me that. I don't know, just using any words that I ever want to. I do feel more freedom to express in the way I want it in English. But then if I speak in medical lingo, or let's say my dad in the garden and we make jokes, that's still definitely Slovakian, where I just lose a tiny bit of myself into the Slovakian humor. And yeah, we still have like old Slovakian sayings too, or
Yeah.
not sayings, but a language that my grandma used to speak. And it's this very specific accent too. So that's what I do when I speak to my dad and my sister. We make those jokes and we speak that accents together. And yeah, and in that time
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seven again, like those I guess language comes with the memory and again the nostalgia. I feel like every time I speak different language, I just feel like I'm that time in that place where I remember I learned that language. That's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Yeah, I need to talk to some more people that were raised speaking 4 languages or raised speaking 5 languages, because like you, well, I was raised speaking Flemish and English, I
Yeah.
guess, pretty much at the same time. But I still associate Flemish with my
Yeah.
younger life a bit more. And then now Spanish. So like you, I more
Yeah.
associate it with different phases in my life. But I wonder what it's like for people that grew up
That
speaking
would be
like
very
4
interesting. That
languages
would be
at
very interesting. I
once,
would know. I would
right?
love
Like,
to know that as well. That's very interesting.
If you meet
Yeah.
someone like that, tell them to come on the show. Or any listeners right now, if you're one of those people who was raised with 4 languages, reach out to me at withoutborders.fyi or leave a comment in whatever platform you're listening on right now and
That
let
will
me
be
know
very
and come on the
interesting
show.
for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, Eva, we're over an hour here. So just to finish this up, I want to know just a little bit more what you want the listeners to know about Slovakia, because before I didn't know too much about the country. And then recently I found out, yeah, as we talked about the churches, I found out that it has one of the highest number of springs and fresh water. Then the capital, Bratislava is the only city where it borders two independent countries, because it
Austria.
borders
Yeah.
Austria and Hungary, right?
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. So what are just a few other things you want the listeners
As you
to know
mentioned,
about
I
your
love to
country?
visit. In a short period of time, you can visit 2 different countries as well. It still has beautiful folk traditions. Like if you and a huge history and folk history, and again the castles, and it's just picturesque. You don't need too much money to spend, and you can in a quite a bit of short time travel through different villages that each of them looks very different as well. There's a certain amount of farms too, if you were into that too. We have lots of sports. If you're a paraglider, if you're a slagliner, if you're a kayaker or skier, you will have lots of fun there. And from my opinion, I would say people are very kind. There is no way you will suffer somewhere on the street, or you will get lost, or some kind of a crime scenario. I would say it's quite safe, and people are really, really kind. They will offer you food most of the time, if not like place to sleep. And yeah, they will definitely guide you if you want to see some hidden treasures. They're not like hiding that. We don't have as much tourists that in Vancouver. If you want to see hidden treasures, you have to really dig deeper because there's so many tourists. And at home, you really see a staff that you will be by yourself next to a waterfall, or like the scenery you always want to have for your Instagram pictures. You can find there for sure. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just feel like people are generally very
Okay.
lovely and very very nice to foreigners. And some of them are my parents. They're interesting in you. They want to know where you are from and what language do you speak, what do you eat. Yeah, so that will be a good reason to visit.
Perfect. Then one more thing before people go. What about, is there anything special related to etiquette that people should know? Because I read that you have to be invited before using someone's first name.
That comes to a German language as well. So I really, this is terrible, Nolan, for me, because I'm not a teacher. I don't want to screw this up. But we do speak to elderly and people you don't know in a different ways. But it wouldn't make sense if you speak English. And if you speak English, just use the last name and you will be safe. But yeah, like we use a little bit different lingo when you know someone. And so if you just use the last name, will be fine, and they will correct you if they feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
They will just say, "Yes, please call me John or call me Eva," right? So you wouldn't be that. It's not. It is an etiquette
Okay.
for local people for sure, and you will. If you start with that, you're not gonna get wrong. But nobody, from what I remember, will get very offended if you just say, "Hi, Veronica." Like it wouldn't be that bad. No.
Okay. Okay, good to know. And what about going inside? I heard, like Canada and unlike the rest of Europe, you take off your shoes when you go into someone's house.
Yeah.
Is that
We
correct?
always laugh on Beverly
Yes.
Hills.
Okay.
What was that movie? Remember back in the 90s that everyone was just even like going to the bed with the shoes. I was like, well, how weird is this? Yeah. So please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like it in most of Europe. People like I'm the weirdo here in Spain. When people come over, I always say, "Please take off your shoes," and now I provide slippers for everyone because I think it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But it's
Slippers,
how it is
slippers
in
is
most of
something you will
Europe.
definitely get in
So,
Slovakia. And my Canadian friends, Kevin, always love it. He
nice.
was
I'll
like,
feel at home there.
he's my neighbor, And he was like, what do you mean sleepers? Because he came to my house and I was like, are you cold from a feed? And he was like, why you like, if I'm cold on a feed, I might be cold on the head and I might need like a sweater. Why are you asking me if I'm cold from a feed? And he's such a Slovakian saying that if you're cold on a feed, we're going to give you sleepers. He was like, wait a minute. Do you have like each size sleepers for each person? So I remember I laughed so much about it. I was like, no, you just get like some general sleepers for each of you. And we just take care of your feet for sure. Like if you cold from a feet, you're going to get sleepers.
Awesome. Okay, good. Now I feel comfortable
sure.
going there in the winter as well. All right. Well, Eva, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. For all the listeners right now, remember, if you want to join in on the conversation or add something, please check out withoutborders.fyi. I do rely on paid subscriptions to keep this going. And of course, you can find me on YouTube or Instagram as well.
Thank you, Nolan. Thank you for the beautiful work you're doing.